Jen, welcome to Get Creative. Let's talk about a deal.
Thank you. I'm excited to talk about it.
So, what's your journey? How'd you get into real estate? Well, how did you get into this hybrid deal that we're going to be talking about?
I've been in real estate for about 15 years. So buying, flipping, figuring out how I wanted to make the most out of the real estate. So I decided to just live my dream life. So I sold some assets in Lake Tahoe, Reno, and decided to buy a house in Gilbert, Arizona, unsight unseen. And we found somebody that needed a little bit of help. Seller finance had to get out, so we came into a property, and that's how this whole thing started. It was me wanting to live on a lake in Gilbert, Arizona. That's how it all started.
Oh my gosh, you got the lakes in Gilbert, Arizona. Those neighborhoods are so cool. All these man-made lakes. You were like, I want to have a piece of Lake Tahoe in Arizona. Is that what the thought process was?
It was no snow, no wind, palm trees and sun. Yes, that's what I want.
Lake Tahoe is probably one of the most fun places I've ever visited, except I did visit between July and August, and it was like popping. The weather was amazing. The food was great. Everything was awesome. And then I see pictures of that place in the wintertime, and I'm like, why the heck would anybody live in Lake Tahoe during that time? Unless you ski, right?
Yeah, which I did for many years. I grew up, I'm so grateful. I literally grew up going to Squaw Valley and all the places. And then as an adult, I'm like, I just know I'm spoiled. I did it and I don't want it anymore. I want to wake up and see water and palm trees.
So why Arizona? What made you think about Arizona?
I had lived here before with my husband, and we had seen this lake, and literally it became my vision board. I knew that I would get to live on the lake, specifically this one, which is kind of crazy. So I had it on my vision board, and last year we just did it, and we're like, no, we're going to do it today. We're not going to wait anymore.
You're lying.
No, I literally had
You had this on now, guys. Everybody listening to the podcast, why is this so cool? Is not just the manifestation part, but the challenge with creative finance deals is that you cannot just pick and choose where you're buying these deals, right? Like I can go on the MLS and I can go, I'm going to go get a loan to buy any house in any neighborhood that's on the MLS. When you're dealing with creative finance, you're waiting for these opportunities to pop up in areas that you actually want. And so a lot of times people ask me, hey, Pace, do you do Section 8? And I go, I don't do a lot of Section 8. And it's because my properties are a little bit more scattered than they would be if I was doing the burst strategy, where I could hyper focus in one zip code or one area, and I could really build a relationship with my Section 8 government locally. And my properties are kind of scattered because you're looking for opportunities that pop up. Creative finance is very different in that way. So you manifest, I want to live on this lake. You now live on this lake in a property you bought with creative finance. How the heck did you find this, and why was the seller in pain?
So this one, I actually own two now because I manifested. We knew as soon as one came up, we had to get one. And so we bought one, and that one we end up subtoing. So I subto to another person. And this one that we're in now was an older gentleman that wants to not get rid of it. He was dead set on it, and just lots and lots of conversations, lots of following up, and finally convinced him that, yeah, this would probably be a good way for him to make a lot of money and allow me to live my dream. And so it just came with a lot of follow up, a lot of going back at it and being told no. I mean, probably a trillion times. Like he literally told me no 1,000 times.
Okay, so you already lived in the neighborhood.
We bought unsight unseen in July, and then we subdued it in November and moved to this house. So it was like literally within months, because same thing, I wanted this neighborhood. So if another one came up, I was going to get it. And so the moment I bought in this neighborhood in July, I met all the neighbors and said, I want to own houses here. I want to own all of them. And everyone laughed at me.
So you started talking to the neighbors.
Everyone. Yeah. And I'm still doing it. And if anything comes up again, everyone knows I will buy it.
Okay. So you run into this older gentleman and you say, hey, my name's Jen.
Well, let's back up. I didn't even run into him. Someone was moving out of the house. It was a rental, and we're not supposed to have rentals like that. And so I asked the guy, where are you going? What are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm out of here. This guy will never sell. And literally to me being creative, I'm like, oh, okay, sounds good.
You're like, challenge accepted.
Yes. And I'm like, and I just called with grace, and I'm like, hey, how's it going? What's going on? I love this neighborhood. And just started chatting with him and repeat over lots and lots. And now here I am. I'm living in it. I get to look at my lake right now and see my boat. And that's my dream.
How many times did you have to talk to this guy? And what would you say is the biggest objection that you overcame?
I'm not joking. Probably 200 times, because I called him, we talked, we met at the property. I got told, no, it's a great income money. Like I'll never let it go. But is what really changes mine is that I'm flexible. What is his need? And right now he needed to make money. He needed to make a lot of money. And so I said, well, I'll help you make money because I want to be here. So it's worth it to me to do that. The house is paid off. How about I still pay you what you want? And so that's inevitably me always asking, what do you want? How can I help? Is what got me in the house that I'm in right now.
That's great. So he seller financed it to you. Was it a hybrid deal? Did he have an underlying debt, or was it just straight seller finance?
Just straight seller.
Okay, great. So he sells it to you on seller finance. You basically say, look, I'm going to live in this. This is a house that I'm going to live in, and I'm going to, have a little boat on the water.
Hmm.
What's your number? Basically, you kept saying, what's your number? Do you really want to deal with tenants? Do you really want to deal with taxes and trash and renovations and tenants moving out like you just had? And by the way, breaking rules, as I might remind this guy that he's breaking the rules in the HOA.
Yeah.
Do you want to continue to break rules and worry about a tenant, or would you rather just get the number you want and I pay that to you every single month?
Right.
And the 200 times of you talking to him sounds like it was more around you just building rapport, a connection with another human being, and building his trust over a certain amount of time for him to go, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah, it really was. And I think that that's why I love real estate. It's just, I told him, like, I just want to talk to you. I'm not here to take advantage. I want to bring that back to real estate. I always tell people that I love talking to people. I want to know, how can I help? And another thing that helped is I had owned another house. So I'm like, I'm here to take care of this community. I'm not just someone that's going to just be here. Like, I have people in it that I let them buy it from me. And I want the same for this community. And that really made a big difference to him, that it wasn't just someone saying they're going to live here. The fact that I am owner and I've had lots of ownership, and explaining my background of that was a win for me and him. So he understood I was a legitimate, real deal. And then I didn't stop bugging him was probably another really big thing.
I love that. Why didn't he just rent it out immediately? Like, why did he have so much time between you initially finding out it's an opportunity and then him turning around and selling it to you? It sounds like it took months and months.
The guy left early. No, he had it listed for rent. He just had it on an astronomical amount that he wanted for. And so it was me rushing, but me getting in on it and me understanding the urgency of it, that knowing that I want this one. And so that's what it was. It was the fact that he was trying to do it. But again, it's just like everyone thinks their house is worth $1 million, and everyone will pay that when people won't.
I love this. This makes so much sense for the audience members out there. Where was his pain? His pain was he had a tenant that moved out early. That's number one level of pain. Number two level of pain is that he shouldn't be renting to a tenant anyway. And so now people are noticing that he's renting in the HOA. And he probably, when you called him and said, hey, talk to your tenant, he'd go, oh, dang it. They know what I've been doing. Probably knows that he's in trouble. Now, thirdly, he goes and puts it on the market and tries to rent it for a crazy dollar amount because he's a greedy SOB, which is perfectly fine if you know what the heck you're doing, like Jenn. He's sitting there, the market's beating him up and telling him, your house is not worth this rent rate. Doesn't matter what you think, bucko. The property does not rent for this. And during that time frame, Jenn stayed on top of it. And what I love about it, Jenn, you have a figure it out button built into you, which is awesome. And you're just a badass. And you go, I'm not gonna take no for an answer. One, and two, you've been around the block. You've been in real estate for 15 years. So you know what consistency and you know what follow-up will do for you. In fact, you know that if a seller's going to seller finance something to you, they need to see how committed you are in order for you to become their bank. Like, that's almost the application process. If you look at the follow-up that Jenn did, it almost was the application process for her to get seller finance on this house.
Yes, the nonstop. And that's exactly how it went. Is you just have to keep following up and keep on and honor them and forward with gratitude. I'm grateful. How can we make this work? How can we make this work? That's always how I've made everything work in all of my industry, and being in mortgage and helping people get houses and leading forward with any kind of financing in real estate, and real estate itself is you just have to lead forward. And how do I help someone? I think that's the success in real estate that I've had, is just because that's all I don't care about anything else. I don't care about making the dollar. I don't care. How do I help you? Because inevitably it's going to help me. And I know that. And I've learned that through and through and through. So
how can people help you now in your business? A couple of questions. Number one, how can people help you now in your business? And what are your goals for 2024 in your real estate business? What are you trying to accomplish?
So, number one, people can help me in my business because I am so I do private money and I'm a private money fund and syndication. So I lend and I take people's money, help them invest in real estate without owning it because they've been in pain. So that's what I like people to bring to me and help me with that. So that way I can help others. And then for me, my goal is personally, I want 50 SubTo doors in 2024. So I love long term and I love calling for sub-twos because I've done it myself. I help someone else and I really want 50. So I'm on the target to get it. And that's what I love about this community is I can pair up and work with people. And I have a mortgage company, I have a business, and I'm joining a team in Sub2. Well, I applied to be their closer so I can start accomplishing that goal. So that's what I'm looking for.
That's cool. Okay, so people in the audience, non-community members, how can they reach out to you and say, "Hey, Jenn, you're handling people's private money. I don't want to touch real estate. I don't want to go find. I don't want to call. I don't have your magnetic personality or your dedication and commitment to follow up. I don't want to do all of that stuff. How can I just give you money? How can people reach out to you?"
You can find me on my website, badassbossjen.com. You can Google me. You can reach out on my Instagram. Everything is Badass Boss Jen. If you search that, I'm on all the platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and I answer my phone. I own a mortgage, I do mortgages. So I'm that person. You can call me and trust me, if you Google me, my number will come up. I love when people say they can't find my phone number. I'm like, I don't know if you tried very hard,
Like, you
but
just did not Google, you knucklehead.
yes, just Google. But yeah, I love people. So call me. I've got a team and good. We'll be good to go.
I love it. Jenn, thank you for hanging out with us. For everybody out there in the audience that say, you know what, this sounds cool. I've listened to a lot of these podcasts. I don't know that I'm going to be the person that's going to go and follow up with a seller 200 times. I'd rather just give my money to somebody like Jenn and say, "Hey, Jenn, you go and deploy my capital, give me a return, put it into Sub2 deals. Sounds like you're on a plan and a path to go buy 50 of them this year. Here's my money, make me a return." Sounds like that's your main goal for people in the outside of our community audience, correct?
Absolutely. 100% my goal. Let me help you, get your real estate goals without headaches. I want to help people in and out of real estate and you're helping others as well. So I'd love the opportunity to help anyone and everyone. Um, and I'm grateful. Pace, thank you for giving me this opportunity and showing me I can actually do it. So I'm just beyond grateful for you and the community you built. And huge gratitude.
Thank you. I didn't give you anything. You freaking earned every bit of everything. I mean, 200 freaking follow-ups with one dude to get this house. You did the work that nobody sees, and it's just like working out, right? You're in the fitness business as well. You love fitness. You can tell when somebody's working out and when they can't. I can tell when people are committed in real estate and when they aren't. And even though I didn't see the 200 follow-ups, I know exactly what you had to do behind the scenes in order to get to here. So you earned it. You did the work that nobody was watching. You stayed consistent. You were committed, and you turned it into a fun game, I'm sure, because you're a competitive type of person. And you earned it. This is freaking awesome. It's so cool to hang out with you.
Thank you. I'm just grateful. I'm so excited to be in this community and just help everyone any way I can. That's what my nature is. And that's what makes my heart and soul happy is how do I help? What can I do? What resources do I have to help others? So super stoked.
Love it. Guys, go and check out badassbossjen.com. You can check out on her website. Also, you can just go and Google that, Badass Boss Jenn. And she has her phone number listed on Google. You can text her. Don't text her if you're just going to be like, "Hey, Jenn, can I pick your brain?" The text you should be sending to Jenn is, "Hey, I have some private money. Can I deploy it into your fund so that you can go and get me a return?" That's the perfect text message I'm sure she would like to see every single morning pop up on her phone. And everybody in the audience, we'll see you on the next episode of Get Creative.